in a case that had catalyzed President Duterte's war on drugs. 3 policemen charged with killing 17-year-old Kian De Los Santos have been found guilty of the student's murder. They face life in prison.
Bigla nilang namataan si Kid.
May chance upon itong sigiya sila. Bakit tumakbo itong bata na to? Nabul nila. Ang ali na yon, binunutan daw sila ng baril.
Ito raw ang nagtulak sa mga autoridad para barilin si Kian. Napatay ng raw ng mga pulis ang binata.
We will delve into the ethical case analysis using the 7 steps of moral deliberation. Our focus will be on the tragic incident involving Kian Lloyd De Los Santos, a 17-year-old student who was killed during an anti-drug operation in the Philippines. So, if you have the authority and power, what would you do?
Gather of facts. On August 16, 2017, Kian Lloyd De Los Santos, a 17-year-old student, was shot and killed by police during an anti-drug operation in Caloocan City, Philippines. The police claimed that Kian was involved in drug activities and fired at them, which led them to shoot back in self-defense. However, CCTV footage and witness testimonies contradicted this claim. The footage showed Kian being dragged by the police to the spot where he was later found dead, and witnesses state that he was unarmed. An autopsy report confirmed that Kian was shot at close range, further contradicting the police's account on the incident. This tragic event drew significant public outcry and raised serious questions about the conduct of police operations and the broader implications of the war on drugs in the Philippines.
In this part, we identify all the individuals and groups affected by the incident involving Kian Lloyd De Los Santos. Understanding the stakeholders help us evaluate the ethical implication from multiple perspectives. The first stakeholder is Kian Lloyd De Los Santos and his family. Kian was the victim and his family suffered a profound loss. They are directly impacted by the action of the police and the outcomes of any investigations or legal proceedings. Second is the police officers involved in the operation. These officers are central to the case as their actions are under scrutiny. Their careers, reputation, and legal standing are at stake. Third is the Philippine National Police. The PNP's policies, practices, and overall reputation are implicated. How they handle this case could affect public trust and their operational procedure. Fourth is the community in Caloocan City. The local community is directly impacted by the safety and policing practices in their area. This incident may influence their perception of law enforcement and their sense of security. Fifth is the Philippine government and judiciary. These bodies are responsible for ensuring justice and maintaining the rule of law. Their response to this case will reflect their commitment to human rights and legal standards. 6. Human rights organization. These groups advocate for justice and the protection of human rights. They may use this case to highlight issues within the police force and push for reforms. Lastly is the general public. The broader population perception of the police and government policies can be influenced by this case. Public opinion can drive demand for change and affect societal trust in law enforcement.
Articulate the dilemma. Ethical dilemma in Kian Lloyd De Los Santos case revolve around the conduct of police operations in the war on drugs. On the other hand, should the police be granted the authority to use lethal force freely and under the assumption of self-defense and the objective of combating crime, even if it results in death of potential innocent individuals? Or this approach might appear necessary for quick action against drug-related crimes, but raises significant concern about human rights violations. On the other hand, should there be stricter measurement and accountability to ensure human rights and due process are upheld? This could prevent wrongful deaths and abuses of power, but may slow down the effectiveness of anti-drug operations. Balancing the need for public safety with the protection of individual rights and the core of this ethical dilemma.
Morot. So we identify the four key alternatives. So the first one is to continue the current aggressive approach. So this option maintains the status quo of aggressive police action in the war on drugs, allowing for the use of lethal force with minimal accountability. Number 2, implement stricter guidelines and oversight. This alternative purposes enforcing stricter rules and oversight mechanism for police operation to ensure they comply with human rights and due process. It aims to reduce incidents of abuse and uphold justice. Number 3, suspend the war on drugs. This option suggests halting the current approach altogether and focusing instead on rehabilitation and community-based interventions to address drug-related issues. Prosecute police officers. This alternative calls for holding accountability those officers found guilty of misconduct and excessive use of force. It aims to establish a proceeding for accountability within law enforcement. So that's
In the case of Kian Lloyd de los Santos, we evaluate each alternative against ethical principles. These principles include justice for respect for persons, beneficence, and non-maleficence. Number 1. Justice. We consider whether the alternative promotes fairness and accountability in the treatment of individuals like Kian Lloyd de los Santos, ensuring that actions align with legal and ethical standards. Number 2. Respect for persons. This principle emphasizes the importance of upholding and the dignity and rights of every individual involved, including suspects and victims, ensuring their autonomy and well-being are protected. Number 3. Beneficence. We assess how each alternative contributes to the overall well-being of the community. This includes evaluating whether it promotes public safety and health, while considering the potential positive impacts of crime reduction and community trust. Number 4. Non-maleficence. We examine whether each alternative avoids harms, particularly to the innocent individuals. This involves weighing the risk of human rights violation and collateral damage against the benefits of the law enforcement actions. By carefully comparing these alternatives with these ethical principles, we can determine which course of actions best aligns with the values that uphold justice, respect for persons, beneficence, and non-maleficence in the context of the war on drugs and the similar law enforcement operations.
Weigh the consequences. So in this part, we weigh the consequences of each alternative. This involves considering the potential outcomes and impacts of each decision on various stakeholders and ethical principles. So alternative 1. Continuing the aggressive approach may lead to ongoing extrajudicial killings, undermining public trust in law enforcement, and increasing human rights violation. And alternative 2. Implementing stricter guidelines could improve public trust, reduce human rights abuses, but might initially decrease effectiveness in immediate drug crackdowns. Alternative 3. Suspending the war on drugs in favor of rehabilitation may promote community health and safety in the long term, despite potential short-term increase in drug-related activities. And last, alternative 4. Prosecuting police misconduct could deter future abuses and restore public confidence, though it may not provoke resistance from within the law enforcement. By carefully weighing these consequences, help us determine which alternative best upholds ethical principles like justice, respect for person, beneficence, and non-maleficence, guiding us towards a decision that balances public safety and individual rights and well-being. And that's all.
My name is Ge9. So, in make decision involves choosing the most ethical alternative based on the previous analysis. So, in the case of Kian Lloyd de los Santos, after weighing the consequences of each alternative, we concluded that alternative 2, implementing stricter guidelines and oversight for police operations, is the most ethical decision. This choice prioritizes justice, respects individual rights, promotes community well-being, and aims to prevent harm to innocent individuals. By enforcing these measures, we can we can mitigate human rights abuses and rebuild trust between law enforcement and community, ultimately fostering a safer and a more just society. So, making this decision requires balancing immediate concerns with long-term ethical considerations, aiming for a solution that aligns with and promotes the welfare of all stakeholders involved.
At last, in our case of Kian Lloyd de los Santos, highlights the critical ethical challenges of our law enforcement facing during war on drugs. By implementing stricter guidelines and ensuring accountability, we can protect human rights while maintaining public safety. Thank you for listening until the end. That's all.